All right.
Let's do this.
Okay. Well, how is everybody doing for one? Everybody good?
Yep.
Yep.
Everybody busy?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, what's going on? I'm going to share some stuff with you, but what's going on from your end?
I have a listing coming up later this week
Okay, good. Where?
in Guelph, a townhouse in a great neighborhood that's close to the Costco that everyone wants to be close to.
Nice.
Yeah.
What kind of price range?
650-ish.
Okay.
Yeah, 3 bedroom.
Okay, great. What else is going on?
I find there's a lot of buyers out right now, for sure.
Okay. The spring market has hit Toronto. I'm going to share some stuff with you, and it literally happened within the last 10 days. Um, everybody's pretty familiar, if you're familiar with the GTA area.
Speaking of Toronto.
Yeah. So the area, is Julie coming on or?
Yep.
Okay.
There she is.
Okay. So the spring market in Toronto has definitely hit. Michelle and I have a client that we've been working on trying to, first time buyer, get them to be sort of stop renting and they take a process. And now they're talking about, well, maybe over the next year or two. Met with them, went through things with them, got them signed up. They've got $1 million to $1.4 million to spend, want to be in Toronto because they both live in Toronto right now, rent in Toronto, no car. But they actually are from the outskirts of Toronto, but both the jobs are in Toronto. So we were sitting down with them and said, okay, that's great, freehold. We're looking, north of, the area of High Park area, and to the east a little bit. And so Michelle set them up on Realm, and they started doing their own searches and said, hey, we'd like to go look at this one, go look at that one. And we said, great, let's get time to get it set up. Literally, by the time they did their search, we got back, they pretty well all sold and selling fast. So I thought, okay, let me look at something more specific in an area that I'm very familiar with. So I did a search in an area, and the reason I'm going to reference High Park is because even if you're an agent outside Toronto, most agents are familiar with the area of High Park. So just along Bloor Street, sometimes somebody has been to High Park. So here's my little search here for, did this yesterday. And so here's some fun stats for you. Here's the place just off nice property, detached, 2-story, 30 by 120, listed at $1,798,000, sold for $2,030,000. Okay. So we look at that and go, okay, well, one day on the market. Another one, High Park area, detached 2-story, came on the market for $1,698,000, sold, firm, $1,901,000. 8 days on the market. Reason it was 8 days on the market is they held off offers. There's another one. Same thing. Set an offer date, listed $1,489,000, sold for $1,852,000. Here's another one. Listed at $1,499,000, sold for $1,801,000. 8 days on the market because of an offer date. And this is all in March. So what's going to happen, and there are tons of them here, like literally tons that have all of them selling over asking. If not, they're selling right at asking or just a little bit below. But even the one that just, listed at $1,799 sold for $1,765 in 16 days. Okay. The reason I'm sharing this is the media will pick this up 30 days from now. We're seeing it today. Okay. I talked to Anita and Jason about the Niagara region, and they're saying that their first-time home buyer, so 300 to 600 range, is all of a sudden busy to the point where they're actually seeing some multiple offers on stuff. So the media will pick this up. It'll get reported. So what you need to do is you need to reach out to your buyers and say, like, it's already started. And if it's starting in Toronto and first-time buyers in the Niagara region, I'm sure you're going to see it move in the outskirts. I talked to Kelly Blair the other day, and where she is in Smith Falls, Westport, that area is a little quiet, but that's more, waterfront stuff. Yet where Kathy is in Westminster, it's busy. Like even, Kathy's been on here a few times saying how busy it's been. It's closer to Ottawa, things like that. So really important that you stay in the know and do this, like look at what's going on in your neighborhoods. Okay. But I didn't expect to see this fast happening right now. So buyers are out. When the interest rate didn't change, mentality was that we're at the bottom. And so that's what we're seeing. And so now we've got a couple buyers that we're really trying to, we've got some buyers looking, and they're actually going, what do you mean? The news is saying the market's slow, the economy's down, but that's not the reality right now. So what else are you seeing? And I know, Nancy, you're saying the buyers are out. Well, that's early, isn't it, for your area, considering how long the winter was? You're on mute.
Sorry. Me and technology, I'm seeing it really power up now. I'm getting calls. So I think we're gonna be off to a really great second quarter.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess the thing to be aware of is if you have sellers that are sitting on the fence wondering what to do, this is the marketplace where we start, you can start saying to them, look, this is what's happening. We're seeing multiple offers because there actually is a lack of good inventory, good properties, right? So if they have a good property and they price it to the point where it's going to be attractive, there are multiple buyers looking right now. Okay. So I thought I wanted to bring that to everybody's attention because you'd rather be the person saying, hey, look, I've done my market research and this is what we're seeing, and be the first to present that information versus waiting for all of a sudden the stats to come out and create say, oh, we're having more transactions. Be the person that is putting it out there saying, hey, despite what you're hearing, this is reality. This is what we're seeing now. Okay. And it will filter out. It will expand into other areas. What's going on in Guelph, Elizabeth? Like, what were you seeing when you were doing your research?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's definitely getting busier as well, lots of buyers. Funnily enough, I just had two listings that my client saw that listed a bit lower to garner offers. They received offers and rejected them all and then relisted higher. So that was a fun like education experience to speak with my buyers about that and talk about that strategy. But then the well-priced ones are selling real quick right now, like within a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what's happening in the Niagara region as well. And so I anticipate usually when we start seeing that first time buyer scenario happen, then it takes about 45 days to 60 days to see the next wave of the move up buyers. And so with that in mind, really important if you have people, as we say, that are sitting on the fence looking to list, you really need to get in front of them and start presenting some of this stuff to them.
I saw similar
Okay.
thing in Scott in Kitchener as well. Same thing, right? I had a
Yeah.
guy whose condo was on the market, right? I had a listing, so it got sold, but then he bought another one, and we all the agents had like offer tied up to the condo, so we were all kind of trying to work together because the conditions were like the same day, right? Like, one or the other because they didn't want anybody to fall apart, kind of thing, right? I think I see that behavior as well. Agents being more cooperative and more, I mean, open to talk to, right? Kind of thing and explain. I mean,
Yeah.
which I think helps to put deals together. Because even in the end, we were kind of trying to negotiate on last $1,000, and we all kind of ended up pitching in and helping each other out and say, let's get the deal done rather than falling one deal apart. It's going to make another one fall because there's like all these people have bought properties next, right? So all these, beginner kind of properties in $300,000 range, 250, 350 range, right? So I
Right.
see activity
Yeah.
happening.
And what's the best thing about that is you have to have the conversations with the agents. Don't
Correct.
rely on text, don't rely on email. Pick the phone up and have the conversations. That's how deals get done. Okay? Like that's how you hold them together. That's how they get done. And I talked to a friend of mine. Now you guys hear me talk about Jeff Atkinson all the time. Talked with him last week, and he had a sale that the people had a listing. They brought an offer in. The agent brought the offer in at a certain value, and Jeff Spiegel just said, you know what? It's too far off. And so they were off by about $65,000. So we're talking about a $900,000 sale price. And Jeff just said, look, at this time, this is where the sellers are at, which I think is fair. But in realist, unfortunately, your buyer is, lower than where we see the market. And the agent said, you know what? Okay, well, leave it with me. I'm going to show them some more houses. Well, I guess in the meantime, in that week, Jeff kept talking to the agent and just said, hey, just how's it going? Did you find anything else? And he said, no, we really haven't, we've lost out on one. And so just in that period of time, by him keeping in touch and calling the agent, not email, not text, actual conversation. Well, didn't it turn out that the agent called Jeff back and said, is there any flexibility that when your people look at anything? He said, look, absolutely, but you got to get closer to, where the value is. And the agent came back and said, what about this number? And Jeff said, you know what? You're about 10 grand shy of where I think we could put the deal together. Brought the offer in at 900. His sellers went because during that period of time, they had a few showings, but no other offers. And they all put the deal together. But it wouldn't have happened if you didn't continue those conversations, even with the agents that you're not actually actively with an offer. Okay. And that's how you got to really look at this. Even when the spring market comes, there's going to be some challenges with agreements. Like it's great, you're going to get an offer. But then, as we all know, once you get the offer, if there's conditions, you got to work through those conditions. You got to work through any questions about the inspections and things like that, right? So communication is still going to be the key. Just because we're seeing a bit more activity, don't revert back to like a lot of agents were doing during COVID per se, is not responding to anything, right? You need to work together with the agents, and it's conversations that put it together, not text, not email. Just keep that in mind, okay? What else is going on? You guys are all up to speed on all the, I think the social media channels were all crazy with, how the buyers are all going to save $130,000 buying new. Get your HST rebate, get your GST rebates. Well, that right? Well, who's aware of what happened?
Not me.
Yeah.
They,
Julia,
they
you follow
announced
that.
it. They announced it today. So the federal and the provincial government got together and they're not eliminating, they're giving rebates on HST up to $1 million properties. And that's for new builds that have to be papered by the end of the month. And they have to close by a date in 2028, I think it is. No, the construction has to be completed before 2036. So that's actually good, because if these new condos and such are stalling, then it gives builders time to get their act together and get them in the ground. But it's only up to new builds up to 1.5 million, and the maximum rebate for homes are up to $1 million. So it's $50,000, I think, is the maximum, right? Do I have it right?
Yep,
I read
really
it this morning and a little hazy.
So this is what came across my feed.
Mm-hmm.
CRA warns first-time home buyers miss these rules and you could lose up to $50,000. How's that for a headache?
Debbie Downer, right?
Yeah, CRA warns first-time home buyers miss these rules and you could lose up to $50,000 in GST savings. So I'm just going to read part of this for you, okay? Imagine signing the agreement on your first new home, budgeting for a $50,000 tax rebate, and then finding out you don't qualify. Canadian home buyers who agreed to purchase a newly constructed home between March 20th, 2025, okay, and May 26, 2025, last year, okay, are not eligible for the first-time home buyers GST rebate. Because, so the new federal home buying rebate was announced on March 20th, 2025, but wasn't introduced into law until May 27th, 2025. So if you have any clients that in that 2-month period, okay, who signed a purchase agreement in those 2 months, they're not eligible for the rebate. Okay, so make sure if you had clients that did buy new and they think they're eligible, they're not. Because even the builders didn't really know how it was going to work. They were using it as a way to say, okay, you're going to get this, you're going to get this. Well, the government, and they're the ones that have the last say on it, okay, basically are saying that anyone who signed that purchase agreement in those 2 months are not eligible for it. So if you actually, across Canada, that's a loss of up to $50,000 possibly. But if you're in Ontario, because the provincial government's also giving that rebate, it could be up to $130,000. So if, check with any of your buyers who said, oh yeah, we bought new, we're going to get the rebate. You just may want to double check with them and see what's on their agreement when they actually signed the agreement. Okay. And they even put right in here. Okay. You could on that. Okay. Also, it's on substantially renovated homes, but that's even harder to prove. Okay. So on this particular one, it says for new homes valued up to $1 million, the rebate covers up to 100% of the maximum GST paid of $50,000. If the new home is valued between $1 million and 1.5, the maximum rebate is gradually reduced. And in this particular one, it said there's no rebates for homes at a 1.5 or more under this program. Now, here's the other thing that is interesting. Okay. In Ontario, obviously, they are eligible for the higher because in Ontario, it's the bigger of both taxes, not just the one. And here's some other things to be aware of. Okay, we talked about the May 27th, 2025 date. Okay, that's when the agreement has to be signed. Beyond that, okay, can't be earlier. But there are also some qualifying scenarios. And this is why I wanted to bring this to everybody's attention, okay? Who actually qualifies and who doesn't? And this is where if you're speaking to people who are even thinking of doing this under this program and they haven't yet and they can, who actually qualifies actually boils down to the definition used by the federal and provincial governments regarding first-time home buyer. And it's stricter than the name suggests. To qualify, you must be at least 18 years old, a Canadian citizen or permanent resident, never lived in a home that you or your spouse or common law partner owned as a primary residence in the calendar year of the purchase or in any of the previous 4 calendar years. Okay, so each individual can claim the rebate only once in their lifetime. And a buyer is not eligible if their spouse or common law partner has already claimed it. Yeah, right? So
wasn't it you get if one spouse was and one spouse wasn't, you just got your 50% share of the rebate?
yeah, but that's for the land transfer tax rebate.
So you would think it would be handled the same way, just so you're not having to pat your head and rub your tummy to figure things out.
Exactly.
It's really confusing.
So that's why I wanted to bring this to people's attention, because it's also the 4-year look back that catches a lot of people off guard, right? So you're thinking, well, I'm a first-time home buyer. Well, when did you have a house last? Oh, it was 4 years ago, except it's 4 years plus a year.
Yeah.
So to be sure, you can't own anything within the last 5 years. And so where some of them are getting caught, just as Julie was saying, is one person, yeah, I haven't owned anything for 4 years, but my spouse has never owned anything. So they're a first-time home buyer, so we get the rebate. And the builders aren't sure either, right? Mm-hmm. So now it turns out that if that's the case, they won't get any rebate. So something, if you're talking to people about this, and it's a great program, and the fact that builders right now, there's some great incentives out there. There's also great commissions they're paying too. Okay, so if you're gonna look at doing the idea of helping people buy new, really got to dig into this and make sure that they qualify based on how long ago, if they owned a house, how long ago was it? Okay. And if they just say, well, find the address, see when it actually closed. Okay. Make sure that it closed 5 years ago or longer. Okay. So it's really important. So here's an illustration. They say, let's assume a buyer sells their home in 2022 and spends the next 3 years renting before buying another home in early 2026. Under the 4-year look back rule, this buyer wouldn't qualify as a first time buyer, as the year 2022 still falls within the 4-year window. Right? So that's what I'm saying. 5 years back, 2021. It had to have closed in 2021. Not sold in 2021 and closed in 2022. Make sure that it closed before the end of 2021. Okay. And the other thing is that they just have to make sure, obviously, that they're buying it to be their principal residence. If they're buying it as an investment property, they don't get the rebate. Okay, something else to keep in mind. Okay. Buyers who signed their agreement after May 27th, 2025, but took possession before the legislation received royal assent on March 12th, they actually face an extra step that they have to do, but they can still claim the rebate. Okay. So there is some ways that they can do that. They might need a help with their accountant. And then so, you've really got to look at, and if they close it right now, they've closed it before the March date, they have up to 2 years to apply for it. So they need to do it right away, because after that 2-year window goes, if they go, oh, geez, we didn't apply, they don't qualify for it anymore. Okay. So just things to keep in mind if you are going to look at helping people with pre-construction. And yes, there is possibility getting this rebate. Just make sure that they follow the program, making sure that it's after May 27th, 2025 that they sign the agreement. Neither partner has owned a primary residence in the current year or previous 4 years, so go back 5 years. It's newly constructed, not a resale. It's their primary residence, and they will be the first occupant of it. Okay. And there you go. That's something to keep in mind so that you guys can be the smart people on the street, helping them understand this. Okay. Was anybody dealing in pre-construction or talking with people about buying new? Something that you may want to look at doing, because I know Michelle had sent out a link to one of the builders that we know quite well. And you can certainly, builders are looking to the realtor community more now to help them, which is good. And as I say, there are some big incentives from the builders, and they're, in some cases, even, as I say, higher commissions. Okay.
Some builders are also offering, if the price drops between now and the time the house is built, they'll take the hit.
Look, yeah.
The builders guaranteeing.
They're guaranteeing that when it closes, whatever the market value is, that's what you're paying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's because a lot of people got hurt this
Right.
time, so it's too bad in the media.
Yeah.
They're trying
Yeah. What else you seeing out there? There's lots going on. Where's the new market? I don't mean brand new construction, but where are we seeing the new market?
something that I've noticed or feel that because now they're implementing that downtown people used to work from home a lot. Now they're going back to downtown.
Yeah.
So I think the condo market will pick up in the rental and sale.
Yeah.
Because now people are saying the commute is too long and, they were off fine for the last couple of years or 3 years, but now they're saying, well, this is getting, because even GO train is packed
Yeah.
compared to a few years,
The downtown, the offices, and they don't have to be right downtown. They can be North Toronto. They can be wherever
easy access to, subway.
the offices are calling people back. Like even the two people that we met with, they are both been called back. One was hybrid, started with 2 days a week, 3 days a week. Now they have to be in the office 4 full days a week with 1 day optional to work from home. Okay. Government offices have called people back. They're 5 days a week. I've got some of my friends that have financial companies downtown. They have started calling people back and just said, look, we need you in the office because we need to have the team together, and the Zoom meetings don't create the synergy that a lot of these companies need. And it also isn't creating the accountability. When people, like, if you look at the financial industry, lots of them have to be in the office for a 7:30 meeting. Well, easy to do when you're on Zoom, and then you finish the Zoom meeting, and then there's time in between. In the office now, they're finding that this is what they have to do to get the people to be more accountable and to track what's going on. So what that means for downtown Toronto, and when I say downtown Toronto, but it'll also be like that for areas that you would have, like even in Kitchener or Waterloo area, you've got financial offices there, you've got, IT offices there where they're calling people back, right? So you're going to see where people are going to say, hey, you know what? Yeah, we were living a couple hours away, but now we need to come back. And what is that entry level? I'll just focus on the GTA for now. It's going to be that condo. Now, here's something interesting is if they can't buy something, what are they looking to do? You're going to have to rent, right? And right now, rental, there are good deals in the rental side, but I'm actually starting to see places that were looking to rent reduced a little bit and then all of a sudden got rented. I've got somebody looking to rent in Burlington, and I'm looking at freehold townhouse, things like that, and they're $3,000, $3,100, $3,200, $3,300, and they're actually renting pretty fast because they're close to the GO trains. They're close to transportation. So other thing to think about is where are the opportunities if you're looking at, as an agent? What are the opportunities? We've talked about how the government, provincial governments, and the cities have said you can now have multiple units in one lot, laneway homes, that's a possibility. But there actually is a program that you could have 4 units on one property. If anybody's familiar with Bloor Kipling area, I was Bloor Dundas Kipling area. I had one of the guys that I do business with. He's a builder. They actually bought a couple places, old bungalows, tore them down, and built 2 units on the one property. So imagine a 2 unit side by side, okay? 2 units side by side in the front, 2 units side by side in the back, parking in the middle. They got 4 units on a single detached lot. Because they were purpose-built rentals, they also got government financing for it. So that's the other, what you have to look at is where's the next market, okay? So if you're in, and you can do this in any area, okay, in Ontario. Doesn't just have to be the GTA. And what they're calling it is, they're saying because of the way the condo market is, that a lot of the builders have actually switched to try, and we've talked about this as well, switch their projects over to be purpose-built rentals. Well, in some cases, what they're actually doing is they're switching it over and they're actually referencing it as being multiplexes. So that's where they're starting. That's where they're seeing where places like this 4 units on one property is becoming a norm. And tenants are quite happy to move into something like that. Okay. Maybe not so much, as the idea of, and Julie and I talked about this, is where if it's a laneway home that's at the back of a property off the laneway, may not be as desirable as a rental possibility. But I think you're going to find that that's going to become more of a norm, where if they're purpose built, that they're going to be acceptable as rentals. So in this particular case, they're actually saying that the investor interest has shifted to where they are buying properties that to do more low rise or multi-unit purpose-built rentals. Not buy and flip, but actually putting 4 units in one 4 to 6 to 8 because they can get government financing for it. So are you in a position where in your neighborhood where you work, and again, this isn't just the GTA, it could be anywhere in Ontario, okay? So are you talking with people that you can go to and, are they a small investor? Are they a builder that you could help? A custom home renovator, maybe there's possibility. Yeah, Julia.
I was on a subcommittee at Toronto Real Estate Board on just this subject. So they talked about how the government is trying to push through projects like this. And it appears from what I could see in some of the meetings that I attended, that it's often the neighborhood that holds these back and not the government. There's a perception out there that the government is dragging their feet. Well, I don't think that's entirely true. The city seems to be on fire for them. And they really do want to push projects like this through. So there is a lot of information that Treb is putting together on this subject. If your clients need some support, I could probably put you in the direction of that. But really interesting stuff. A lot of that is being built or being considered. So this is probably a good little niche market going forward.
Yeah, and that's the part where the niche is helping to identify those properties for a builder, for an investor, right? So if you can be the person that understands it and be able to start using it as a niche, a lot of agents won't go into this area. They just won't. They're not familiar with it. They don't want to get familiar with it. But I think there's an upside because it's not going away. This isn't just a fad. This is going to be the new norm. This is where, you look at places like London, where, you look at how many properties in London started out as single homes, but now what do they reference them as? Oh, I live in a flat. Well, all a flat is they've taken a unit and made it multi-units in between because of where the location is. So here is, just part of it to look at here is, according to a report by the City of Toronto published last May, the city received 750 multiplex building permit applications between May 12th in 2023 and November 4th, 2024. So this isn't new. It's new for the applications, but that more than tripled the number that were submitted the year or two before. Okay. So as of now, here's the interesting part from CMHC, is that it has now what's happened is that has surged 44% increase. That's how many more applications CMHC is getting for their particular financing projects purpose built. So if you can become familiar with that, again, doesn't matter what area you trade in, okay? Anywhere in Ontario, this can work. So the interesting part is that it's because it is purpose-built rentals, okay? So what they look for, and the reason that allows multiplexes of up to 4 units as a right. You don't have to apply to change the zoning. It's a right under the provincial legislation, okay, that you can have multiplexes of up to 4 units as a right, eliminating the need for the lengthy rezoning procedures, okay? So Toronto adopted the policy in 2023. Then they expanded it to include 6-unit multiplexes in certain areas in 2025. The province of Ontario meanwhile allowed for the addition of 1 or 2 units to the existing property province-wide without rezoning. So that's the thing, is that you can fast track, okay? And so if you're familiar with it, get familiar with it. It gives you a reason to talk to somebody. It gives you a reason maybe to do a session on it. Gives you a reason to reach out to some of your renovators. And those are the ones that actually do the smaller projects. It's not the big developers. You have somebody that's a home renovator or a custom builder. This is the kind of stuff that they would look at doing. Way more so than your big builders. Okay, the big builders will do purpose-built rentals, but they're looking at 400 or 500 units, not 4 or 6. Okay. The other part that's really cool about this, and I'll get you some photos and some addresses, but when you do purpose-built rentals like this and you have 4 units, you can actually have the houses built in about 180 days. Because they can build these units indoors. They build the walls indoors. So once the application is approved by the city, I just did a presentation to one of my clients on something similar for their custom built house. And I questioned again, it's the same guy I'm dealing with, and I questioned him. I said, like, you've got on here, the house will be finished, done in 240 days. All finishing, occupancy done, and it's a 3,000 square foot house. He said, yeah. He said, it's simple. He said, here's what we do. All the plans are done. All the city requirements are submitted. Everything's picked. Kitchen, everything. Tiles, everything's done. As soon as the city gives the approval, they then go ahead, they do the foundation. While they're doing the foundation, the computers are generating the build out indoors, and it builds all the walls, all the exterior walls, all the interior walls, and they build it in just basically wall plaques, right?
Like a Lego.
Yeah. 12 days to build 3,000 square feet. They put it on a flatbed. They take it up to where it's being built, where it's going on the foundation. They hire a crane. In 4 days, the whole house is together, including roof trusses. And then they can start putting the windows in, start doing the interior. So when they do these 4 units, okay, where I was going with this is they use the same process. So they can actually, as soon as they get the zoning, as soon as they get the building permits, the foundations go in. Those 4 units are pre-built, delivered on site, put together. Occupancy will be within no longer than 240 days, and actually faster. Because when they actually, especially the ones when they're doing the purpose-built rentals, when they're doing the exterior walls, it includes all the brick or the stucco. So when those walls go on the foundation, that's done. It's an amazing process. It's also what the government is looking for. Like we've gone through, and I'm sure you read, where the government keeps talking about how are we going to build these 1.5 million units. If you actually dig into it deeper, they're talking about all these fabricated homes so that they can be fast-tracked, delivered on site, put together, get people in. So I find it as being a real opportunity because it's not going away. And it's ways an investor, home builder, they can actually get into the purpose-built rentals. And if you do that, you also get the CMHC select financing. Okay, so that's something to look into. I wanted to share that with everybody because it just doesn't have to be in Toronto. Okay, so any questions on that? Has anybody looked into it besides Julia sitting on the committee? Okay. really,
The,
really do look at it.
but you could look up information in the Federal Accelerator Housing Fund or something like that. I think the federal government um, has earmarked like 400 and something $1 million for this. And I understood it was for multiplexes, not just fourplexes. So sixplexes are also included in the as of right zoning in Toronto. So there's a ton of information out there, and you can find some of it on the City of Toronto. I have a bunch of links if anybody wants. So
Can you send those links? That be okay?
yeah,
Because I'm gonna be working with this builder friend of mine, and we're gonna identify some opportunities where he can continue to do this. And the other thing I'm looking at doing is, one of the ways I see doing this is I'm gonna try and put together an investor syndicate so that someone looking to invest in real estate might be able to partner in. I haven't figured out the exact details of it, but I think this would be a great way for somebody that may not be able to get into the marketplace themselves, but if they've got $50,000, if I do it in increments of 50,000 or 25,000 and put together an investor pool, then that they
like a
would
REIT.
own that. Yeah, kind of like, right?
Mhm.
Just so that they might be able to buy shares in that corporation just for that particular project.
Mhm.
Right? So anyways, that's sort of where I'm trying to go with this, because this is not going away. And I think this is a great opportunity where if you can get the information, be aware how it works, then there's definitely opportunity as a niche to be able to do this. And if nothing comes out of it, but you're very familiar with it, it gives you a reason to talk to people about it who you're probably not talking to right now. Builders, home renovators, that kind of thing. All right. I wanted to share that with everybody. What else is going on? Nothing. Oh, did you guys see my wife's post yesterday?
Who was flying that thing?
I took my wife on I took my wife on a flight. We decided just, nothing to do yesterday. So we had an hour. It actually was my Christmas present. Highly recommended if you, we were flying a A320 Airbus, flight simulator. And it was cool. Like literally, she took some videos and stuff, but I think she posted something on Instagram on her feed. But it was pretty cool. It was flying an Airbus 320. We took off from Toronto, flew around the CN Tower, landed, and then I thought, you know what, we flew into Vancouver. So we flew, set the computer and everything, took off on sunrise in Vancouver, flew around the mountains, landed, and then I've flown go to Arizona a fair bit. So I thought, well, let's fly into Phoenix. So flew into Sky Harbor Airport there and flew around through the desert and took off and landed. And then the last one, if anybody has ever been to Saint Martin, it is one of the most famous airstrips, short runway. You land basically off the beach. So we took off from there, and this was the fun part, is where he said, okay, this particular one, you gotta hold your brakes, give it full throttle, and wait till it hits there's a certain gauge, let go of the brakes, keep it down the middle of the runway, and when you see it hit 100, I think it was 135, you pull back on that until we get over those mountains in front of us. And so that was cool. Then we flew around Saint Martin, And then we landed, and as we were landing, Nadine and I had stayed in the hotel beside the runway on the beach area. So it was pretty cool. And that was all done within an hour. And the instructor it was so cool. I've never been in a flight simulator. I never played video games. So having that little joystick and all the stuff. Yeah, Nancy,
Was it on Dixon Road?
it was on Dixon Road.
Yeah, the one that I went to. Yeah, I've landed that plane like 3 times in Saint Martin. I landed at Heathrow. Um, yeah, taking off was my bad part, but I've done the same thing. Like you walk in the hotel and you turn right and you go down and
Yep.
it's on the left. Yeah, that's where I
Yep.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why
That's
like
so
when I went to the Dominican just recently, I was just like, don't worry, guys, I can land this. It's all good.
yeah. Yeah, it's so cool. So if you have nothing, if you want to do something different and so the way it was set up is the pilot, so that was me, I was on the right side, the instructor was on the left, and Nadine was sitting right behind us. So she could see everything going on, and so it was cool. So you could you don't have to be there on your own to do it. But it was cool.
It is absolutely awesome.
Yeah, and it's the full flaps down. Then I was flying it, and then he said, "Oh, there's an alarm. Oh, your right engine's on fire." Okay, well, what do you got to do? He said, "Okay, you got to press this button. All right, flames out. Turn off that engine. Now you're flying with just the left engine, and you got to turn this dial, that dial, and that was land with one engine and." Yeah, it was very cool. I'm gonna go do it again. It was very cool.
It landing in Saint Martin is like the coolest thing ever. I had to land there like 4 times because my instructor was like, "You need to keep going here because it's like a really tough runway." And I was okay, so I landed there a few times.
Yeah, yeah, and
Laps on 4.
yeah, they set up the computer in such a way you could do nighttime, daytime, sunny, cloudy.
Yep,
Yeah, yeah, it
fabulous.
was really. And what was kind of cool because I was flying around and he says, "Okay, time for a break." I said, "What do you mean a break?" "Okay, don't worry about it. It's on autopilot. Sit back, relax." So it was interesting chatting with them and just saying, how often is it always on autopilot? And it's most of the time, once you take off and you get to the level you're supposed to be, and it'll be on autopilot.
Yeah.
And they can actually land it in autopilot as well. The one thing the autopilot they will not do, every takeoff is done by the pilot. Which was, I thought with computerization, they would just press buttons and yeah, no, it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, really
awesome.
cool.
Awesome.
So if anybody is interested, it is a via Sim, I think it is. Anyways, Nadine posted it. Just look her up, but it was pretty cool. Okay. We talked about listings. Any sales happened in the last week? No? Okay. Rentals?
I have a new rental in Milton for rent, a condo.
Condo for rent in Milton? Okay.
My niece and her husband. But they wanted to sell it, but they were losing money because they bought it during peak.
Right.
So, and she's expecting a baby, so she's moving in East York with my cousin, which is her dad. So they're closer to the parents.
Okay.
But eventually they'll buy something. Yeah.
Elizabeth, you were nodding.
I did have a sale this week too. That's what is prompting my listing. Good friends of mine are move-up buyers in Guelph, and they just bought their potentially forever home. So I'm listing their place as well in Guelph. So that's
fabulous. Well done.
Thank you. That's
super.
I'm having a busy year so far in a great way. So I'm loving that.
And what do you feel why is that happening? What are you doing differently or what are you doing better?
I think for one, I'm just gaining momentum. I think it took some time to um, just, yeah, create that momentum, but I'm also taking a lot of steps to like connect with more people. I just posted about my first event actually, and like the mortgage broker we talked about last week. I think just I'm getting more comfortable like saying I'm a real estate agent and like just getting it out there more. And then referrals are coming in too, which is really cool.
Good for you, right? And again, it's all about, like it's that auto flow, it's that live flow, okay? So it's really important that you have to be consistently doing that. And we talk about it, right? It's if you do the consistent things, the transactions will happen, right? And I know you've worked really hard at making sure you're posting, you're giving good content, you're reaching out, doing community activities, and all of that, right? All of that will bring those transactions, and I know, same thing when Nancy started, when she made the transition, she started getting more involved with the community, putting out, going to the diners, talking to people, putting out billboards, putting out advertising. People see that, but they're not going to jump on it right away until they see consistency,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because then they look at you as being, you're right, you're a realtor, you're in the business,
Mm-hmm.
right? And good for you. That's great. And that's, as I told you guys, I said to Michelle, we're doubling down on what we're doing with our database. We just signed up where we're farming another 1,600 houses that I actually farmed in 1986 is when I first started that farm area, 85. When did I move in? 81, 82, 83. So probably was 83, 84. I farmed that area probably for 8 years until I got into management and ownership. Stopped it, lost a lot of business because I stopped it. But we're back in, we had a couple sales in that area last year. So we just signed up, committed to a monthly newsletter. We're getting postcards made up. Some of the team here is going to do some door knocking there. And I know by doing that, we started this month, within the next 12 months, we're going to have 5 deals out of that area. Average sale in that area is $1 million. So, got to spend some money to make money. Keep that in mind, okay? But yeah, you got to be out there. Got to be talking to people, going to see people, having conversations with them.
Speaking of seeing people, tomorrow we have our friends from Legal Lab joining us again in office. There is a Zoom link for that to join live. We are not recording it just based on kind of the conversations we had even with the last legal team that was there. We want to just respect some privacy, so we won't be recording it. Yes, Nancy.
And also tomorrow is the Cottage Life show.
Yes, thank you.
Sorry.
Cottage Life. Oh, you're good. I have a list.
It's kind of been the focal point for Elroy and I for like the last
Yeah.
2 weeks. We've been like talking back and forth. Yeah. So tomorrow, the Cottage Life starts at 12 o'clock.
Where is it?
The International Center. We will be in
So
building 1 in booth 640.
By the airport.
So the International Center, is that the one right across from the flight center where we did is that the one where it's,
No, it's not on Dixon Road. It's Darien Airport Road.
Oh, the other one. Okay, the other way.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Okay. Well, we're going to come there Friday late morning.
Yay. We'll be there.
So we have a few of us coming.
Yeah.
I would say Friday afternoon, but I'm sorry, I'm going down to the Jays home opener. So.
Oh, well, that's good. Well, I'm cutting out early on Friday anyway to go have dinner with my dad.
Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll probably get there around 11ish is our plan. Come
We'll
see
be
you.
there. We'll be there.
We also have, what else we got going on?
April 16th, is our Realty Executives Annual Awards. It will be at the same location, so C Banquets in the City of Mississauga building, 12th floor, great views, great food, and we have some awards to give away, which will be very fun. Realty Executives Priority 1 from Vaughan area is also joining us this year again, so that'll be fun. And Jake will be there. Yes, so for anyone that has worked or before with Jake, he's gonna be back for this event and get some good videos, good photos, stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
Any last comment? Anything else anybody wants to share?
Just really nice to see everybody.
Okay. All right. Well, good to see everybody. We'll catch up with everybody soon. We'll see Nancy. We'll see you Friday. And if there's any questions, anybody, you guys know how to reach us. Just reach out if you have any questions or anything. Okay.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Goodbye later.